In this video, I'm going to be discussing the face and feet alignment with Easy Team Builder. Now, what this does is determines whether your images are aligned by their feet and you're seeing the height differences in the player, or whether they're aligned by face, and so their faces are all on the same height, and so you're not going to see any height differences by player. So if you go to 0 on this adjustment, this is what you're going to see. The faces are all lined up, but then the feet, you see the feet no longer line up because you cannot align both the feet and the face if people are different heights. So you see now these feet no longer line up when we're using 0 for the adjustment. With 100 for the adjustment, let's go back to that top row again because that one showed the most difference. You see now the feet are all lined up, but then the faces are not lined up. Now you can go anywhere in between as well. So 50, for example, you're still going to see some height difference, but not the full height difference. So you see in this case, neither the face nor the feet line up. The tall person, their face is still taller than the rest of them, and their feet are still below. It's halfway in between, which is if you have this value at 50, that's halfway in between. So here you can think of this as 0 shows you 0 height difference. 100 will show you 100% of the height difference. 50 will show you 50% of the height difference. 25 will show you 25% of the height difference, and 75 will show you 75. So you got full range of adjustment from 0 to 100 on that. And one thing I'm going to point out too is going from 0 to 100, you can see it actually compresses the overall build a bit. And the reason for that is because these were built grouping rows by height. So it's putting the smallest on the first row, and then each row up is a taller group of players. And so when doing that, you're going to see the height difference from row to row in addition to the row spacing per row. When you're aligning by face, you're not going to see that height difference per row. You're only going to see the row spacing. And the reason why is because the tall players are getting pushed down, so their feet are below the shorter players in order to line those faces up. So I'm not going to get into all the math for why all that is, but just know that if you want to align everything by face, you may need to go in and adjust this row spacing. So maybe 1.7 or 1.8 versus 1.5 if you want a little more spacing. It's really up to you. And this also is dependent upon how much height difference you have between the players. If everyone's almost the exact same height, it's not going to really make any difference one way or the other. Whereas 1.5 would give you the same result whether you're using 0 or 100 on this alignment, if everybody's the same height. It's sort of hard to explain, but I hope that kind of makes sense. And really, it's up to you. A lot of times it's 50, just halfway in between, because you still want the taller players to look taller, but you don't want extreme differences. Sometimes going in the middle is a good way to go. And one last thing, if you are aligning by face, now you see these feet don't align, so if you're showing the feet in the image, it might be sort of noticeable. So if you're aligning by face, it might be good to cover with graphics or like the team name that kind of covers over the feet or whatever, smoke or, dirt overlay where you're, sometimes people put the grungy look down there. Just anything that's graphics oriented that can kind of hide the feet. If you're aligning by face, that can help so where it doesn't look like one player is floating higher than the other. Because you're not going to be able to align people with different heights by the face and the feet without scaling the smaller players up, which is going to look weird if you do that. So you just have to choose what you want to do with your images. And usually people go one way or the other, either 0 or 100. But actually I kind of like it in between sometimes, showing a little bit of height difference, but not all of it. Anyway, it's up to you how you want to deal with that, but just hope this gives you some insight onto what the face and feet alignment is. Pretty easy to use, so you use it as you need for your images. Thanks for watching.